You used to trust your judgment implicitly, yet now, before every decision, you feel a surge of internal questioning paralyzing you into inaction. Why has your self-trust evaporated? This is the dark psychological paradox of self-doubt manufacturing, a calculated strategy of cognitive erosion.
That feeling, you know the one, that sudden inability to trust your own mind. It isn't a personal failing. It's often a result of a deliberate, systematic process. It's a form of cognitive abuse designed to make you question the very foundation of your own judgment. So in this explainer, we're going to dissect this tactic, piece by piece, so you can recognize it, understand its mechanics, and ultimately reclaim your inner voice.
So here's our roadmap. We'll start with the self-doubt paradox itself and how doubt is manufactured. Then we'll get into the specifics, the three-phase attack and the manipulator's real goal. And most importantly, we'll cover how to rebuild your judgment and get your voice back.
You know, the first and most critical step in defending against any kind of manipulation is giving it a name. Once you can name it, you can see it. And when you can see it, you can start to dismantle its power. So let's put a name to that feeling of constant, paralyzing self-questioning.
This is self-doubt manufacturing, or SDM for short. And let's be crystal clear about this. This is not about you suddenly becoming insecure. It's a tactic. The key words here are systematic and designed. It's an intentional process aimed at one thing and one thing only, shattering your ability to make your own decisions. It's meant to make you feel like you need the controller's input, their validation, even their permission for the smallest choices. It is the absolute cornerstone of coercive control.
So what's the end game for the manipulator here? Well, our source material calls it decision monopoly. Just think about it. Trying to control someone who has a strong, confident inner voice, that's hard work. It requires constant effort, arguments, friction. A manipulator wants low friction, total control. So the most efficient way to get that is to eliminate the source of resistance, which is your own self-trust. By manufacturing doubt, they basically replace your internal voice with their own, achieving a monopoly over every choice you make.
So how do they do it? It's not through one big blow-up argument. No, it's a steady, relentless campaign along 3 different lines of attack. First, you've got micro-criticism injection, these tiny, constant jabs at everyday things you do, like how you load the dishwasher or the route you take to the store. Second, there's contradictory fact assertion, which is just classic gaslighting. They deny things they said or did, making you question your own memory. And third, prohibitive idealization, where they set a standard so impossibly high, you're guaranteed to fail, which just reinforces the idea that you can't do anything right without them. Now, for this explainer, we're going to focus hard on that first one, micro-criticism, because it is the primary weapon used to erode your core competence.
And this isn't random. It is a methodical, predictable process that unfolds in 3 distinct phases. And understanding this pattern is the key to seeing the manipulation for what it truly is. It moves from eroding your competence to paralyzing your mind to finally locking you into dependency. Let's break down each phase.
It all starts right here in phase 1, competence erosion. Now, this first step is so insidious because the manipulator doesn't attack your big, important life decisions. They attack what the source calls your foundational competence. They inject these micro-criticisms about tiny, everyday tasks. Are you sure you locked the door? You always take this route, the other way's faster. Is that how you're going to chop the onions? See, each comment on its own is deniable. It's almost trivial. If you call them on it, you're just being too sensitive. But your brain doesn't just dismiss them. It logs every single one. It starts to register this accumulation of small failures, and slowly this devastating belief starts to form. Maybe I really am incompetent at just basic things. This erosion of competence builds directly into phase 2, cognitive paralysis. Once that seed of incompetence is planted, it starts to grow. Now, before you even try to make a new decision, that internalized belief gets triggered. Your mind, in this desperate attempt to avoid another failure, engages in what the source calls intense, preemptive self-interrogation. Am I doing this right? What if I mess it up? What are they going to say? This right here, this is the moment you suddenly start to question everything about yourself. This internal questioning isn't a sign of thoughtfulness, it's a symptom of the attack. It leads to chronic indecision and a genuine fear of taking any action on your own. You become paralyzed.
And this paralysis leads directly to the final phase, external locus lock-in. Living in a state of constant cognitive paralysis is exhausting. It's painful. Your mind desperately just seeks relief, and the manipulator is right there to offer it. You surrender the decision to them. You do it. You're better at it. Just tell me what to do. And in that moment, you feel this wave of relief. But that relief, that's the trap. It reinforces the dependency.
So your locus of control, your sense of who's in charge of your life, it shifts from internal to external. It locks in on the controller, cementing their authority as the one and only source of valid judgment. And just like that, the cycle is complete.
Okay, so we've seen the what and the how. Now, let's explore the why. What is psychologically driving this dynamic? What makes the manipulator do it, and what makes the target vulnerable to it? Understanding the motivations on both sides is absolutely crucial to breaking the pattern.
This slide just illustrates the psychological collision at the heart of SDM perfectly. On the left, you've got the manipulator's motives, a hunger for effortless control, a complete monopoly on decisions, and the narcissistic supply they get from you constantly seeking their approval. But look at the right side. The target's vulnerabilities aren't weaknesses in the way we usually think of them. They are often strengths, just turned against them. A deep-seated need to be accurate and correct, a natural avoidance of failure, and a desire for cognitive coherence, for things to just make sense. The manipulator exploits these very human, often admirable qualities.
Which brings us to this critical question. Why is this tactic so devastatingly effective? It works because it turns your own cognitive machinery against you. Think about it. A thoughtful, conscientious person wants to get things right. They review their decisions. The manipulator just hijacks that entire process. They overload you with so many manufactured failures that your natural desire for accuracy morphs into this crippling, paralyzing self-interrogation. Your greatest strength becomes the weapon used against you.
All right, we've been deep in the mechanics of the problem. Now, let's shift to the solution. This is the most important part of our explainer, because understanding the tactic is for awareness, but taking action, that's for freedom. We're going to look at concrete, actionable strategies for defending yourself and rebuilding your own judgment.
The first tool is called the data versus noise audit. This is your new mental filter. From now on, when a criticism comes your way, you have to consciously ask, is this data or is this noise? Data is a verifiable factual error. For example, you were 15 minutes late. Okay, that's data. Noise is the subjective, persistent microcriticism. You always drive so slowly. That's an interesting way to do that. That's noise. And here's the rule. You acknowledge the data, but you refuse to debate the noise. You don't defend it, you don't explain it, you don't engage with it at all. You simply identify it as noise and let it go. This starves the manipulator of the engagement they crave, and it protects your mental space.
Next up is rebuilding that foundational competence that got eroded back in phase 1. And the way back is through small, low-stakes wins. This is the 3x3 rule. When you feel that cognitive paralysis setting in, you force yourself to make a decision, any decision, that has an incredibly small blast radius. Choose which coffee to buy, decide which short route to take on a walk, pick a movie to watch. The consequence has to be tiny, lasting only 3 minutes, costing less than $3, or affecting 3 or fewer people. Each time you do this, you're gathering new evidence. You're creating a small, successful data point that proves you are, in fact, competent. You are actively rewriting that narrative of failure.
Finally, how do you break that external locus lock-in? You can't just will yourself to trust yourself again overnight. The strategy here is to consciously delegate your judgment, but to a different source. When that intense self-doubt hits, and you feel that urge to ask the manipulator for their opinion, you have to deliberately bypass them. Instead, call a trusted friend, a family member, a therapist, someone objective who has absolutely no stake in the controller's agenda. This action does two things. It gives you the external check you may still need in that moment, but more importantly, it breaks the dependency loop that keeps you chained to the manipulator.
We've journeyed through the dark architecture of this cognitive attack, from its insidious beginnings to the path out of its grip. Now, let's bring it all together into one clear final verdict on how you can reclaim what was taken from you, your own voice of judgment.
Let's pull this all together. Remember, self-doubt manufacturing is the systemic strategy that's behind why you suddenly question everything about yourself. It's not you, it's a pattern. And this is the pattern. It begins with competence erosion fueled by those endless microcriticisms. This erosion leads to cognitive paralysis, that intense internal questioning that just stops you in your tracks. And that paralysis forces you into an external locus lock-in, where you hand over your decision-making to the controller. Seeing this pattern is the first step to breaking it.
And this right here illustrates the path forward perfectly. Awareness is what breaks the loop. The moment you can identify a microcriticism as noise, it loses its power. When you recognize your own self-interrogation as a symptom of cognitive paralysis, you can stop blaming yourself. But awareness alone isn't enough. Action is what breaks the paralysis. By deliberately using the data versus noise audit and forcing yourself to take those tiny, low-stakes actions with the 3x3 rule, you actively dismantle the manipulator's entire construct and prove to yourself, one small decision at a time, that you can and should trust your own judgment again.
If you take only one single thing away from this entire explainer, please let it be this: that hypercritical, perpetually skeptical, confidence-shattering voice inside your head that questions your every move, it is not yours. It is the controller's voice, perfectly internalized. It was installed, and because it was installed, it can be uninstalled. The moment you decide to trust your own small, simple action over their loud, complex judgment is the moment you begin to reclaim your mind.